that this has become just a passion of mine. It's just something I love to talk about. And it's because the more I learn about it, the more I realize just how critically important this is to our health. So I'm going to start off. I don't have, some of you may have seen me do like a pudding demonstration before. I don't have that tonight, but I do want to just bring attention to something. So this is an apple, just like a standard apple, right? And if maybe my light's going to make it. Okay, so here, you can see it's been exposed to air, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got this apple that's been exposed to air, and as it's exposed to air, it becomes brown. And right. That's because apples, when you peel a banana, right? Anything that is living has living enzymes. And when we eat those, we're putting those living enzymes into our bodies, and our body doesn't have to work quite as hard to break down that food because there's already enzymes in it, right? Mm-hmm. I'm doing what I tell my kids not to do all the time. Talk about eating food.
Make sure you chew, Liz.
Yeah. And that's another thing you have to do. You've got to chew your food, right? You've got to chew to get those enzymes, to activate those enzymes, get them working. And then it starts in your mouth and it goes down your entire digestive tract and it helps you break down the food. The problem today is we're not eating living food. We're not eating raw food. We're cooking everything. We cook our vegetables. We cook our fruits. Like you cook you see grilled watermelon. There's no nutrient value in grilled watermelon after there's just not. No. So that is the cornerstone of what I have been doing a tremendous amount of research on, is that we are an enzyme deficient society. It's not that we're, we're doing anything entirely wrong. We're just not eating the way that our ancestors used to eat. We're not eating the way that our parents and our grandparents and all of them used to eat. And so we have become enzyme deficient. Now hear me out though. Okay. So we eat foods like this and it gives enzymes to our body.
Right.
We make enzymes though. Enzymes are made in our gut. And what helps our body make enzymes is our prebiotics and our probiotics. So pre and probiotics lead to what's called a good microbiota. We have 100 trillion microorganisms within our gut. 100 trillion. And that's what makes up our microbiota. The primary function of our gut is to digest, absorb, and excrete waste. But then our gut also has secondary functions, and those secondary functions are in our immune system and in our brain health, by the development of like the actual production of neurotransmitters or the assistance in the production of neurotransmitters. And so if our gut can't do its primary job, which is digest, then it's definitely not going to be able to get to the point of doing its secondary function, which is immune support and brain health. Okay. So I do have a board here to keep me on track because I can go off on tangents on this topic.
Yes, Liz is amazing. She has such a wealth of knowledge.
So I do want to keep myself centered and focused. So we are eating overprocessed, overcooked foods that don't have these living enzymes. And we're not eating the foods, something like kombucha. I did not like kombucha when I first started drinking it. It was not my cup of tea at all. But as I learned more and more about the gut health benefit to it, I was like, well, I'll search. And so I found brands I like, but kombucha has those natural probiotics for you. So it's going to support that healthy gut. And we're not getting enough of that. So you need good pre and probiotics because it helps support the microbiota, the good gut bacteria. That gut bacteria helps to create other things such as enzymes that you need to digest your food. Okay. So if we are enzyme deficient, so if we're eating this overprocessed food, instead of getting a replenishment of enzymes every time we eat, our body's having to use up all the stores of enzymes that it has within its system. And as you use up the stores of anything, you're going to deplete it. And then you're going to start to not be able to break down certain foods. So the example I think back to is, as a kid, you would have caught me drinking like milk by the glass instead of water. You know, like I would have drank milk over water any day of the week. I loved ice. You know, like I ate a lot of dairy. And throughout my life, I have been lactose intolerant or lactose, you know, I haven't been able, I mean, I got to the point where it was so bad. I couldn't eat cheese. I couldn't eat anything. And now what I know is that it wasn't due to like my body it was due to my body not being able to break it down, but it was because I was lacking that enzyme. And I used to take those lactase pills. Anyone else out there, go ahead and put in the comments if you've ever taken lactase pills to try and help you digest your food. And it kind of helps, but not really. And it's because there's other things within those foods that need to be broken down as well. And just one enzyme isn't going to do it. You need the cascade of enzymes to help to break down your foods. Okay. So when we eat raw whole food, or we supplement with raw whole food supplements that have those enzymes in them, our bodies have to work less. We talked about the secondary function of our gut being the immune system. So if your gut is overworking to break down the foods you eat, it's also setting your immune system into overdrive. And so you're going to get this cascade of inflammation through the body. That inflammation can appear as food sensitivities, food intolerances, pain, anxiety, and we're going to talk more about like all that. Chronic sinus issues. It could appear as just, you know, indigestion, bloating, you know, all these things. And sometimes we don't even realize we're in a state of bloat because it's just always been there, because this is what we've always eaten. This is how we've always lived. And so introducing plant-based enzymes into your body to then break down the food, all of a sudden you discover that there was this entire gassy thing going on in your stomach that you didn't even know. And it was because your gut was unable to do its primary function, which was digest, absorb those nutrients, and then excrete the waste. And it was stuck in digestion. It wasn't absorbing what you needed it to. And you weren't fully excreting because it didn't fully digest. And so it was just kind of sitting there in your gut. Okay. Hi, Jessica. Hey, Shay and Christine. So our immune system, okay, when the gut microbiota gets altered, your gut microbiota gets altered when it's not able to do its primary function. Okay, we're always coming back to its primary function as digestion. So anytime it's not able to do that, it's going to alter your microbiota. Then you're going to lead to what's called immune dysregulation. And that is actually where, hey, Laura, a really large amount of our autoimmune disorders are coming from. So think about it. Our immune system is disrupted, and our body starts to work against our immune system because it can't figure out why our immune system isn't doing its job. And 70% of your immune system is housed in your gut, at least 70% of it. Okay.
A big number.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, you come back to, you have gut pain. You also have immune system dysregulation. You have gas and bloating. You also have immune system dysregulation. And in the times we're living, we all are focused on what we can do to maximize our immune system, right? Build up our immune system. It honestly starts with your gut. It truly starts with your gut. So one of the things that fascinates me is you can say, okay, our immune system is housed in our gut, right? But what is it? What is it that's produced in our gut? Our gut, the bacteria. So again, we're coming back to, it's not just like the gut itself. It's the bacteria in your gut, okay? Bacteria in your gut produces your killer T cells. It produces your macrophages, your natural killer cells, and your T cells. I combine those. Your T cells, your natural killer cells, and your macrophages. And those are all of the cells that you need to defend yourself against infection. Right. And 70% of them are supposed to be created in your gut, but you don't have the bacteria in your gut to create them, your immune system can't work the way it's supposed to. You can feed it vitamin C all day long, but if your gut isn't healthy, your immune system's not going to be able to work the way that it's supposed to. So it's really super important that we then, again, come back to how healthy is your gut? How much of the apples and bananas and the green peppers that I just picked out of my garden and other raw whole food you're eating to give you the enzymes you need and to support the gut bacteria? And what type of pre and probiotic are you taking? Most people aren't even taking a prebiotic because most people don't know what a prebiotic is. And the prebiotic is what supports the healthy creation of the probiotic. And then the probiotic is the good gut bacteria. The good gut bacteria leads to the creation of enzymes and to the immune system cells. Okay. So that, oh gosh, I get so fired to talk about this. So then another secondary function, and this you can find the research on this. There is amazing research coming out on the role of our gut in mental health. And the reason that it's focusing on mental health is because you have what's called an enteric nervous system, or your second brain, and that is housed in your gut. Okay. That enteric nervous system, your gut, is actually directly related to the release or the manifestation of anxiety and depression. And it's because whether directly or indirectly, your gut has a role in the creation of serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and something called GABA. GABA specifically is what controls our ability to manage fear and anxiety. So GABA specifically is responsible for the control of fear and anxiety. When GABA is too low, fear and anxiety are heightened. GABA can't be created if your gut isn't healthy. Okay, so GABA is something that most people don't hear about. We hear about dopamine and serotonin, but GABA is a really important neurotransmitter as well, and it directly is related to the control of fear and anxiety.
Is that the flight and fight?
That's the part of the fight or flight response, yes. And so that also then, you also have norepinephrine, which is involved in arousal and alertness, right? And you have your dopamine. So 50% of the body's dopamine is created in the gut. Wow. Dopamine is directly correlated to ADHD, to Parkinson's disease, to Alzheimer's disease, all of those and more, but all of those mental, like they all have a mental component, right? They have like a dementia component, or ADHD is just this hyperactivity, this attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, right? It's all related to what's going on both in the brain, but they're finding this link to gut health too. And the gut health is super important. So 50% of your dopamine is created in your gut. 95% of the body's supply of serotonin is directly created in the gut. 95% of your serotonin. Your serotonin is literally your feel-good hormone. 95% of that is created in your gut and then dispersed into the bloodstream. If your gut is not healthy, your serotonin production is significantly impacted. Significantly. And it's just amazing to me that that is not being linked more readily, because it needs to be. It truly, truly needs to be. One of the things that they talk about as far as like what alters the release of these neurotransmitters is what's called this leaky gut syndrome. A lot of people have heard about that, leaky gut, right? So what that is that the permeability of the gut is altered. And the way that it's altered is because it's overtaxed. So the gut is working too hard. It's becoming weak. Think about yourself. If you're working out, right? You're doing exercise and you're trying to push yourself into that extra rep, or you're trying to push yourself to that extra set, and you keep pushing harder and harder, you're eventually going to wear out and you're going to become weaker before you get stronger. Okay. Mm-hmm. In regards to muscle, you're going to weaken that immune system as you continue to push, You're going to weaken your muscle as you continue to push. If your gut is constantly on overdrive, the components of your gut are going to become weaker as they work harder, unless you are doing something to replenish and support and revive the gut itself. And we come back to, it needs the enzymes and it needs the good gut bacteria. And when there's a good microbiota and there's enzymes plentiful in order to digest the food that you are feeding it, then your gut becomes healthier and you can start to decrease that permeability. You can start to kind of close things back up again and keep things where they're supposed to be so that they get out into the bloodstream. Your immune system strengthens, your mental health improves. All of it is directly correlated to what is going on inside, literally inside your system. And one of the things I love to think about too is, so we always say, and that's why I titled it, "Do you feel it in your gut?" Because we talk about like, what does your gut tell you? What was your gut feeling about that? Mm-hmm. There is actually research to support that you feel it in your gut before you think it in your brain. So when they ask you if you feel it in your gut, it's because that's where the neurotransmitters are created. It's actually the first place that you're going to either feel good or feel bad. You're going to have a legitimate, actual, true gut feeling because that's where the neurotransmitters are created. So that's a real thing. It's so cool. But again, think about it then. Okay, so draw it back. Your gut's not working well. You're not getting those neurotransmitters. You don't get your gut feelings, right? You're kind of questioning maybe a decision that you have to make. Yes. You're not sure if it's right and now you're leading into other mental health things such as like anxiety and, just decreased confidence in your ability to make decisions. And there's actually a scientific link to gut health and your body's ability to create those neurotransmitters. So it's really, really neat.
Fascinating.
I have not until the last 9 months been able to find, you can find enzymes out there, typically, like I said, lactase pills. Like you'll find an enzyme, it's got one enzyme in it. And enzymes by itself may or may not be enough. Enzymes are definitely the core, right? But what we've learned, right, to summarize, like kind of go back to where I started, what we've learned is that your gut not only needs the enzymes, but it needs the pre and probiotics because it's all three of them that work together to really create the healthiest gut possible. And so if you only have enzymes or you only are taking a probiotic, you're going to end up taking multiple things. But if you can find a product that has the triple threat of all three created for you, you're on your path to really healthy gut support. So
that's amazing, Liz.
Is that, do you have any, I don't see any questions in the comments. If anyone is watching and has any questions, I'd love to answer any questions you've got. I literally could talk about this for so much longer than 20 minutes, but I'm really trying to keep it short. I didn't even realize it had been 20 minutes.
But that's amazing, Liz. Everything that you said, oh my gosh, with all the research that you've done to talk about the gut and how it affects our well-being. It's just so fascinating that it's all intricately related.
And if you're not, if you're someone that likes to eat raw whole foods, do it. Increase the amount that you're eating and get it from your food sources. Your first line of defense is always get it from your food. Your food should be your primary source of health, right? But if you're not, if you're just someone that doesn't like to eat those kinds of things, then a really good plant-based, quality created, supplement is really what you need. And that's Yasmin and I would be happy to talk to you more about that, but that's not why we're necessarily on tonight. We really wanted you to know about gut health in general and what has motivated us to move forward to learning more about what's out there so that we can help people with healthy gut, healthy brains, healthy immune system, whole 9 yards.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Liz.
All right. Thank you, guys. And thank you for anyone that joined live. It was so great to have you on with us.
All right. Thanks, Liz.